Virginia 1950 as amended. The subject matter of the public hearing is a special use permit application 02 for the year 2024. It is made by Nick DeStasio, who is the primary owner-operator of Carts, Inc. The property is owned by SRJ Associates, and we have in your file, you have your documentation that SRJ is aware of and approves the application. The location is 131 Gray Street, and the special use permit specifically is to allow for the sale and service of vehicles, primarily recreational vehicles, permitted with the special use permit according with the section 17-4.6.311 of the code of the town code of the zoning ordinance provisions. The acreage is approximately half acre. The tax map number is 20A 21-8. It's zoned general commercial business B1 general commercial district. It's not in the historic overlay district. The use of the building is basically recreational vehicle sales and service. It's a 3,500 square foot cinder block building. The adjacent composition is a mix of commercial and residential, both single family and multifamily, with institutional uses nearby. So you've got the Masonic Hall on one corner and the library on the other. Those would be the institutional uses. This is a developed site, and no exterior additions are proposed that would alter the land as it exists, requiring any considerations to be addressed. The comprehensive plan designates the area as general retail and services. So some of the supporting language for this request is under the economic goals and objectives to expand the economic activities commensurate with the existing character and lifestyle of the local community. I think that the lifestyle of the local community is kind of significant here. Objectives, number 2, encourage a diversified, vibrant environment through mixed-use development which combines residential, commercial, and recreational functions. Again, I think that's where that tie is. Number 3, encourage light industrial uses, no nuisance problems in commercial operations, especially those related to water and tourism related activities in areas so designated on the future land use plan for the town, and provide an environment for the types of employment that will sustain the local workforce through their working years. The request appears compatible as it combines commercial functions related to recreation and tourism. As to zoning compliance, this matter came to our attention when the applicant sought sign off on a Department of Motor Vehicles form to expand the types of vehicles that he wants to sell. He'll probably speak to that, principally trailers. But we weren't able to sign off on that form because the special use permit was not in place. Now, other than that, for the most part, the size of the building, so on and so forth, density requirements, setback requirements, everything's in compliance. However, and we've had a good number of discussions about this, there are a number of signs and types of signs that are excessive on the face of the ordinance. Now, taken in total, the amount of fixed and vehicle signage on the site approximates the maximum square footage allowed. Okay, it's over in the terms of the numbers, but the square footage it's still under that. But condition number 7 has been drafted to assure the total square footage is not exceeded, and condition number 6 is intended to ensure compliance to a prohibition on illumination that is not constant in terms of its intensity. So no flashing lights, no fading lights. And that is present on Gray Street. So if you go out there at night, you'll see it has this like wave thing going, and the ordinance requires a constant light. It doesn't speak to brightness or lumen or anything. It just says it has to be constant, whether the light is going from like the ground onto the sign or if it's illuminated from behind the sign. It has to be a constant light. Various state agencies, to include the Virginia Department of Transportation, and contractors were contacted for comments. Now, at the time I sent you the report, we had not received anything, but we did receive one comment from Hampton Road Sanitation District, and they had really no comments, no concerns with the request. Now, the first 3 sentences of the next paragraph speak to basically the review criteria. Okay, So as I apply that standard, as this is an existing mixed-use area, the proposed use could be considered generally compatible with no negative impacts to include reduction to land values. The standards of consideration continue to consideration the comprehensive plan compliance, which is detailed above and is noted, is compatible. Avoiding traffic congestion is also given as a standard, and with ample distance given to the entrances that entrance and exit the site on two different streets, that appears to be of no concern. There's ample place there for parking as well, even when the product is out and storage is shown along the perimeter. There's still an ample amount of parking space out in the center of the parking lot. All right, so the proposed conditions 1, 2, and 3 are standard, as is condition number 8. Now, product display, condition number 5, is tied to the hours of operation. The applicant will tell you that he has to bring the golf carts inside at night for insurance purposes. Some of the other product, and we discussed this just today, some of the other product could remain out on the premises outside. So we're going to alter condition number 5 a little bit. The hours are contained in condition 4. Those are pretty much in line with what the applicant has requested, to flexibility to meet demand, which is seasonal, but at the same time prohibit late night excessive activity. And then again, I've already spoken to condition 6 and 7 relative to the signage and the lighting. I would suggest that we alter condition number 5, where it says product display, just specify golf cart display. And with that, I'll be happy to take any questions you might have. I will note that we've not received any written comments, emails, letters, anything one way or the other. Again, happy to take any questions you have.
I'm good.
Any questions?
So the flashing, the current wavy sign is going to change?
It's lighting on, it's like at the base of the building on the Gray Street
Oh, okay.
side, and the light shines up on the wall. And there's a sign there, but it fluctuates.
Is that because there's residences across the street?
For that
Is that the
prohibition.
concern, is because of that?
I'm not sure. It's in the ordinance. It's a standard
okay.
in the ordinance that that light just be consistent.
Okay.
But no citizens have complained?
No one's
about it.
complained on it, no. No one's complained on it. And again, it's the type of thing you can only see at night, you know.
And it's on all night now, all night long?
I think that one is, yeah.
Okay.
The applicant did tell me, he said he has some exterior lighting at the top of the building that shines down. But when I went by, that was not on. I won't tell you how late I went by. Coming back from an out-of-state ball game, so it was pretty late when I went by. But he said that light usually is turned off later at night, and this ground level lighting, let's put it this way, it was on at 1:30 in the morning. So,
Okay. Any other questions?
okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ted. Okay, and now we'll have the applicant presentation. Nick?
I would say that he pretty much covered everything pretty well. So I was just going to, if there were any questions, especially pertaining to lighting or anything like that, I can cover that. Just to address the lighting, we've got basically LEDs around the top of the building. I felt that it was necessary to attract some attention back there, considering we're off street and I mean, our slogan's powered by fun, so we kind of need to appear to be somewhat fun. Those lights are scheduled currently to go off at 10:30. Those other lights are not scheduled currently. I thought they were, but they weren't. I've already changed those lights to where they're more of a constant intensity, basically, so they can change color, they can do different things. The idea is for Christmas or whatever holiday it is, we don't need to, or 4th of July coming up, Memorial Day, we don't need to get up and change lights. We don't need a
Just
bunch of
program
tacky
it.
displays or anything like that. I mean, this is 2024. We can program things, like you were saying, to just have a lighting display how it was. So, and I was made aware that the town ordinance says that it has to be a constant intensity. Generally, we had them moving and all kinds of different things because they look cool. But if that's what the ordinance is, then that's what we have to abide by. So I would agree that it's, I think that we can go with that you know. But other than that, unless there's other questions, I felt that it was presented pretty well over there.
What kind of trailers are you?
So we've looked at golf cart trailers in particular, but I mean, there's really no place around here that you can get trailers and things of the sort. So the idea was to possibly bring some of that stuff in,
Okay.
really for recreational type use. I'm not talking big gooseneck trailers. We use those to haul carts in and out, but
Right.
you know, smaller enclosed trailers, I'd say less than
Like brand
20.
new or used or both, or?
For the most part, probably brand new, is kind of the big thing. But that doesn't mean that there's not some exceptions. I mean, there's intention, and then there's things that happen in business every day. So, but you know, that's the main purpose for that stuff.
Okay.
Okay, and the ability to sell low-speed vehicles, there's a golf cart vehicle, and then
Correct.
there is a low-speed vehicle.
Correct. So the difference, are you asking the difference?
Yes.
So the difference between a low-speed vehicle is a low-speed vehicle by law, under state law, is governed to 25 miles an hour, has to have four-wheel brakes on it. Depending on the jurisdiction, has to have, well, they all have to have DOT windshields. And there's several other regulations that are far beyond what even the town of Urbana requires. But these vehicles can be tagged and titled just like a car. But they're held to a higher standard as well. So we could use those in here. We could use them, you know, we sell stuff down to Virginia Beach and things of the sort. So it would allow us to participate in business outside of Urbana considerably better than what we can now. So,
But it's basically a golf cart.
It-
with
It's a super.
soup.
yes, for the purposes of understanding what it is, it's a golf cart that has several more safety restrictions, I guess you would say, than what the town of Urbana requires. Or not restrictions, but I guess you'd say it follows other code as well. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Do we have any other questions for Nick? Okay, thank you, Nick.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll enter the public comment part of the meeting at this point, and there are guidelines for the public comments. The comments are limited to 3 minutes. Speaker will be told when they have 30 seconds and 10 seconds remaining. You will address council as a whole, not individual members, and public comment response by council or by the commission will take place after all members of the public who have registered have spoken. So we'll get started with the public comment, and the first one on the speaker list is Joe Tate. Joe?
Just now told signed him off.
Okay.
Sorry. I guess he doesn't have anything to say. I'm Crystal.
Okay, Crystal.
Okay. So I was just gonna, when we bought the land, or when we bought the property, we live in the adjacent townhouses. We own into townhouses across the street. We thought we were moving into a residential area that had a warehouse beside it, and now it's turning into like a used car lot is what we feel like. It's everything coming and going, lights blinking. I realize that can be under control, but at the same time, it feels like you've given up your residential area and turned it into a commercial, which is not what we thought we were getting into. We feel like it's bringing our property value down. The other thing is if we approve the fact that he can work on RVs and bring RVs in, is there a limit to them? You know, he says he's going to be working on golf cart trailers, but if we approve RVs, doesn't he have the potential to bring in those gooseneck trailers and fill up that lot? And we wouldn't have anything to say about that. And then that's what we'd be staring at outside of our doors. And the other thing too is, you know, when you bring in the RVs, there's also an opportunity to be using them for residents while you're there. We feel like that's already being done. We feel like there's already people staying in an RV over there at times. Not what we were prepared for as well. It's also going to be bringing a lot of traffic in and out of a residential area, which is not what we thought we were getting ourselves into. In addition, when we talked about the, sorry, I'm kind of nervous, with the golf carts having to be inside, and that means with the inside being full, What is outside are things like stacks of tires, stacks of trash, stacks of golf cart tops, whatever parts are needed that there's no room for any longer inside, they're pushed outside. And that's just going to turn that property into, a collection agency for junk, is what we feel like. Again, bringing our property values down. Wasn't excited to hear that they would be looking at 9 PM as their closing time. I mean, we kind of feel like that's our private, quiet time being in a residential area too, so. And like I said, if the RVs are what's approved, what's stopping the RVs from becoming a big-time business right there, so. Just, anyway, that's our position on it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Nick, would you like to address those concerns?
Is that all for public?
That's it. That's.
Oh, yes, yes, I'm sorry. That's
Okay.
it.
So, the RV thing, I would say this. So, golf carts don't fall in a category. So, recreational vehicle is a term that's being used really lightly in this situation. If for some reason there's ever a camper sold there, it's because, very few and far between. I wouldn't say that it would never happen because it's a bad term. But the idea of filling the lot with campers, I think, is not something that's going to happen. The 9 PM closing time, I was just asked, we were going to go with, we're not doing a 9 PM closing time currently. I just wanted the freedom to be able to do it because if we had folks there for some reason, or things had to stay late, or a mechanic had to stay late, or any number of things to allow for those sorts of things, but I can't think of any recorded or unrecorded instance where that's really been an issue, except for Oyster Festival and things that are, a little bit out of the ordinary. Stacks of tires, golf cart tops, things of that sort. We took over the business in July of last year. We bought out Unique Golf Carts. The previous owners of Unique Golf Carts managed managed Carts Inc. up until about January of this year. There's been a change in management. There's also been a change in how the property is organized and things of the sort. And I just asked Katie, and I don't think it's a current issue. And if there is, it'll be addressed. But I don't think there's any tires or tops or trash. The dumpster that was that still is on the property. There wasn't a dumpster at the time. It was sitting out in the yard. I had it moved close to the building so it's out of sight. So we're doing what we can to clean up the property. We have to do business there. We have to have customers that feel comfortable there. And I'm more of a fan of the property looking more sales-worthy and for customers to feel comfortable rather than a shop. I want it to look more of a retail location than a shop and, a used car lot type mentality, because that's not really what we are. So hopefully that addresses most of the concerns.
Okay, thank you. Ted, do you have anything to say about,
I'll just, in your packet, I'll draw your attention to the pictures that were taken. And this was just on one day's visit, actually 2 days visit. There's a picture that got omitted that's on the side from the behind of the IGA. I did ask about the trailer because I saw the trailer and I saw the trailer connected. They're on the far left-hand side, and the picture I have it's on the far left-hand side, taken from the Sonic Lodge parking lot, and was told that it was personal trailer. It was there, but it was kept plugged in just to keep the batteries charged up. Now, if the commission saw fit, wanted to add a condition that there be no overnight lodging associated with the business, that might be sort of a midway point for folks. We did discuss if he needed to keep somebody over, bad weather, that kind of thing, that, pull out sofa and a microwave can get you where you need to be, for at least a night or two. So If that's the commission's pleasure, we could draft up something that just basically says no occupancy of any of the recreational vehicles, and then that will kind of put that one to rest.
Okay.
But I do want to also note, again, this is a mixed-use area. From standing in the lot, looking at the Masonic Lodge, you got a single-family residence there, you've got the townhouses. Behind this building is the IGA. I mean, it's fairly commercial. So it's, you've got a commercial strip as you come in up Grace off of Virginia. You've got a commercial strip on the left-hand side, so it's a mixed-use area.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have any thoughts, discussion about that latest proposal?
In terms of the dumpster, is it visible from their property? No. Because I was gonna,
Currently, I don't believe.
is it visible from your property or not really?
I can't say that it is.
Okay.
It would be
Yes.
on the other side of
Okay.
the, yeah, I can't see where it is.
I was gonna say, if it was, you could always put like a fencing around it to make it hidden,
You
like
have to
what?
pull into the parking lot and look at the building and where to find it.
Okay. And the, oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, if someone from council is speaking, I mean, to the commission speaking, please refrain from joining in on the conversation, okay? This is being recorded. Thank you.
And in terms of the campers being on the property, during Oyster Festival, isn't that used for people to bring their I mean, could there be an exception for that particular event? Because I know, don't they usually use that parking lot for the campers, and that's just kind of tradition? But for every other time of the year, it could be like a compromise struck?
Yeah, I mean, historically, that lot's been used for campers for probably 20 years. now.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And I could see the concern about the lighting at certain times of day and, doing whatever you can to try to make it
I'll take care of that,
neighbor
make sure
friendly,
that
yeah.
it's- Yeah, friendly, and, I mean, we could even dim it after a certain, I don't necessarily feel that we need a condition for it. I think I should do it as a neighbor, and just make sure that it's friendly to the neighbors,
Right.
type, sorts of things, and if it's something that's bothersome, we can dim it after a certain amount of time. But I think it's a really dark area of town. That's one of the reasons that I put up all these lights, because it's dark.
Excuse me, if you're gonna speak, can you just speak at the microphone?
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Oh,
Because it's a really dark area, and walking back through there, you got lights behind the IGA and in front of the IGA, and then there's nothing. So we did a lot of lights in front of the building, and we've got more lights around there. I think it's more of a safety and security thing. It's safety and security for our business, but, I mean, the neighbors told me that somebody stole something out of their car a couple
Right.
weeks ago. And so now the cameras are more on alert, and the lights need to be brighter to make sure things like that don't happen. So.
okay, thank you. Ted, how do we add that provision about the overnight lodging?
I was just scratching this out real quick. Make condition number 9, number 10. Create a new condition number 9. No occupancy of any recreational vehicle will occur with the exception of Oyster Festival weekend. And I would put that down as Friday through Sunday. Or you might even want to go Thursday
I was
night.
gonna say
Yeah,
Thursday,
Thursday night.
'cause
Yeah, Thursday
Thursday
night.
through Saturday, or
Right.
Sunday, people leave Sunday.
Can we do kind of the week of? I mean, I
Yeah,
think people
because
come
people
in
do
Tuesday.
come earlier in the week of Oyster Festival.
They do
Okay.
start coming in.
Yeah,
I mean, the
All right,
people
so-
back here start getting occupied early in
Yeah.
the morning.
All right, so Sunday before
to the Sunday after,
to the Sunday after.
yeah.
All right, so no occupancy of any recreational vehicle will occur with the exception of the Sunday before, with the exception of Oyster Festival week. Okay, we'll say week. And then parenthetical, Sunday before to Sunday after. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so no occupancy of any recreational vehicle will occur with the exception of Oyster Festival week, parenthetical, Sunday before to Sunday after.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do I have a motion to close the public hearing to consider ordinance number 2024-02 regarding special use permit application 1-SUP-20?
Unless you're reading the wrong one. Just, you don't need to close this, there's no motion to close. I think you're reading one from last meeting.
Motion to consider. Okay. All right, sorry. Okay, then, do we have a motion to approve or deny special use permit application 2024-SUP-02 with conditions as they have been stated?
I motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion to approve with conditions as
With
stated.
conditions as standing, yes. Motion to approve with conditions.
Discussion? Okay. All in favor, per vote, Don Dreyer,
Yes.
Katie Wilson,
Yes.
Lewis Hall, yes. And that concludes the public hearing. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I just note that this is a recommendation that goes to the town council.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This is a recommendation that will go to the town council on Thursday night, and they'll have the final say-so on that.
Y'all are welcome to stay for the rest.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Hopefully with an empty room in the camera. Thank you all.
Okay.
We'll do is come back into another document, which you can kind of see how we got there. All right. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, you've got a memorandum from me regarding a zoning ordinance amendment, specifically as it relates to home occupations. Okay, so historically, people have come into the town hall to get a business license, and they've been issued a business license. What that has created, though, and I think there are some specific examples we know about, we don't want to cite now, where that process didn't include zoning, so there was no zoning review. And so folks got business licenses that probably shouldn't have based on their zoning district location, okay? So this year, the application was changed, and if you look on the back, you'll see that there's a zoning approval down near the bottom. So every single one of these is coming across my desk to be reviewed, and many of them fall into a commercial zone, and I can sign off on it. Some of them are actually out-of-town contractors who do business in town, and they're noted as being out of jurisdiction, and we issue the permit. Okay. We've had a few, though, however, that have caused some concerns. These are folks who are running businesses out of their homes, and they do not have the home occupation permit, which, under this zoning ordinance, requires a special use permit. So you would have to pay $300 and go through the process like we're seeing Carts Inc. go through. I've never seen a zoning ordinance that didn't allow home occupations, and this is my 7th jurisdiction. I've never seen one that didn't have some kind of provision for home occupations to be an administrative permit. That if you met certain criteria, and you got some of the criteria right there in the ordinance, if you met that criteria, the zoning administrator could sign off on it. If you didn't meet the criteria, then you went into some other process. You either went to a special use permit, special exception, conditional use permit. The names vary. rezoning, whatever. So we've got about, right now, five business licenses that are pending because they're home occupations. And if you were to go and look at the houses, because I'm familiar with at least two of them, and say, looking at the outside, you'd never know what was happening on the inside. Okay? So what I'm proposing, and the council's been advised of this, what I'm proposing is go forward with a zoning ordinance amendment that would take, in the R1 zoning district, the home occupations by special use permit, make them by right, but any home occupation permit that couldn't meet that administrative criteria comes back for a special use permit. Okay? The R2 section says that any permitted use in the R1 is permitted in the R2. So that would just carry over. But you would have to change the special use permit provisions in the R2 to say any home occupation that doesn't meet the criteria. So there are three amendments right there. Now, if you go and you look at the 17-5.2, that criteria, I've tried to capture that criteria and put it into a home occupation permit application. So the applicant would come in, fill out the top information, name, trade name, address, mailing address, phone number, email, all the basic, how do we get to your content. Nature and business of which the occupation applies. Okay. So let's say candlestick maker. All right. So most people who make candles and sell them at craft shows and whatnot pretty much work out of the kitchen, over top of the stove, over top of a counter. Is that more than a quarter of their floor space? And if it's not, it's fine. It's approvable. For how much square footage is needed to know if there's an additional parking requirement. That if they can provide one or two additional parking spaces depending on how much square footage is given to the business. No more than two persons other than family members shall be employed. No commodities stored except as made on the premises or related to the business. So, I'm a candlestick maker. I'm going to have wax. I'm going to have wicks. I'm going to have molds. That kind of stuff is coming in. Not a problem. Is it being kept outside? Yes. It's a problem if it's visible from the outside. But if I were to go and also now have Yankee send me 4 boxes of candles that I sell at the same time I'm selling my candles, that's a problem because it wasn't made on the premises. No group instruction, assembly, or activity. So I couldn't teach candlestick making. One sign of less than 2 square feet. Anywhere in Urbana, you can have a sign of less than 2 square feet. So, Casa Hall could be placed out in front of your house. As long as it's under 2 square feet, you're good to go. No outside display, I've already spoken to that. And then there's a general catch-all where you abide by all the other rules and information. Okay. So that is essentially a business-friendly approach and a more industry standard with home occupations, is that they're typically viewed administratively, and if they can't meet that criteria, say they're going to employ 5 people not related, then it's going to go to a special use permit. That's basically how it falls. Now, this also presents for us an opportunity to take care of one of our other issues. If we're going forward with this, I would like to go forward with amending that B1 provision that allows for all the R1 stuff to happen in the B1. And we can knock that one out while we're doing this one. Now, that's also related to the short-term rental. We've had that discussion before. The county attorney and I have not been able to sync up and have a discussion on that, but it's still on the list to get done. So I'd be happy to take any questions you have on this.
Can you remind me what R1 versus R2 is in our town?
Sure. R1 is typically single family, maybe an allowance for a duplex. R2 is when you get into duplexes, townhouses, apartments. It's your higher density.
Okay.
Yeah. And we only have the 2 residentials.
The home occupation permit Is there a cost involved in that?
We have not looked at fees on these. Actually, to be candid with you, we have found about 4 different fee sheets going through material. So one of the things that we're going to have to look at is setting some fees. Now, I'm basically using the fees that are showing on the applications that we have, which are typically $300, and that covers the advertising cost. Most
Advertising,
like for the special use permit, that one's $300. Okay.
right.
But we write a check to the Sentinel for 2 ads somewhere around $100, $150.
But that wouldn't be for the home.
No, for
occupation.
the home occupation. Typically, a home occupation, if there's even a fee charged, it's usually like $10. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Yeah.
So this wouldn't involve like people working from home online that,
If they
That
get a,
wouldn't
if they were coming in for a business license and they're tying their business license to their home because that's where they do their work, then yes, it would.
it would.
Yes, it would. Now, if when I'm at home doing Urbana work, no. Okay.
Okay.
But if I'm at home doing candlestick making, then I'd have to have that. Yeah. If I'm making
Producing
money off of that activity,
It's like self-employed as opposed to.
right.
Yeah.
Right. I don't want to name names. I mean, if you think it through, you can probably come up with a few people that they have a business and they do that business out of their home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is not including like the IT person that just has a home office that's working all the time from home?
For all right, let's say Urbana had an IT person and they work from home all the time. No,
Yeah.
it would not be that person, but a person who does computer repair
Uh-huh.
and runs
People
service.
might be coming
Has a
in and
product.
out.
Yeah,
Okay.
might be coming in and out. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they provide a service or they provide a product.
Okay.
Would you just clarify, basically, if you're getting paid by a customer,
That's it.
that's a business, if you're getting
Yeah.
paid by your employer.
What if it's just temporary?
So we discussed
Say
being.
you have someone visiting you for a day or 2 or a week, maybe, and they are working,
We're probably not going to know it
right?
until they come in for the business license.
Okay.
But here's how we're going to know
But they
it.
would still need to, oh, I'm sorry.
Well,
go ahead.
here's how we find out what's temporary, what's a little bit. Oh, I only do it for my friends. Oh, I only do it for my neighbors. Okay. Usually, it's on Facebook.
Oh,
Okay. And we've, without going into details, we've picked up, the treasurer has picked up about 5 or 6 people this year through Facebook postings that are running businesses that we never had a business license for. Okay. Yeah. So you got two enforcement issues going here: business licenses
Mhm.
and then home occupations. Okay. And again, trying to be business friendly. Somebody who's got a business, they're up and running, but they're just running out of their house. They don't have that zoning compliance thing. So.
Is a business license like a one-time fee, or is it an annual taxable?
Good question. Business licenses every year. The home occupation would be one time only. Because the business license is going to come back through every single time, but we'll know that, okay, Ted the candlestick maker, oh, that's right, he was, we've got a file. He was here last year. We signed off on it last year because he was home occupation level, let it go through. But yeah, the home occupation's a one-time deal.
What about an RV? If someone is using an RV outside their home, but parked at their home for a business?
Like an
I think that's-
Airbnb type thing?
Okay.
Not living in it, but using it for an office.
That's probably going to fall under, if you look on one of the criteria, which is, let's see, where was it?
Number 6.
Number 6. Yeah, that might be it. You know what? I may have missed this one. If you read on the actual standards in 15.7, it says external alterations. So that to me would be an external alteration. If you go back to the code, the existing code, that would probably it could easily be considered an external alteration, your external use of the premises. But generally, I say generally, there is a prohibition on the use of recreational vehicles for anything but what they're supposed to be used for, which is recreational vehicle, not year-round occupancy or businesses or anything like that. So, I bet still I'll take any questions you have, but what I'm really looking for is the planning commission's endorsement of a ordinance amendment to fix this.
And how do we do that? Do we need
Make a
to
motion.
vote? Or
Just make a motion to say you recommended the town council that you proceed with a zoning ordinance amendment to correct the home occupation or alter the home occupation provisions.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
All right, and all in favor?
Need a second? Did you
Second.
get a
Or
second?
second?
Second.
Okay, and then I guess we vote. So Katie,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
and Louis, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, it makes, seems to make sense to me. It's not what, I wasn't sure exactly how to put all this together, but you did a nice job.
Thank you.
of,
Thank you. I appreciate it.
explaining
Yeah, it's until you get everything in front of you, it's kind of hard to follow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was floored when I saw it. I was like, really? It's all home occupations have always been administrative. Now, keep in mind, every single decision that a zoning administrator makes is appealable for 30 days.
Yeah.
So every time I sign one of these off, the neighbors can come back in and say, well, why did you let Mr. So-and-so, have all these delivery trucks come in, bringing in all these, candle wicks? Well, because it's a home occupation. Well, I think it's too much, and they can file an appeal. So
Right.
the neighbors, any offended party, anybody can make an appeal on something like that.
Well, the rumor mill is really revved up, I think, on this.
Well, hopefully they'll
Yeah,
leave
hopefully
it, get
they
off
get-
of Facebook and come to town hall and.
Because I don't know what y'all are
I didn't know
talking
anything about it either.
I'm not on Facebook much anymore. I
yeah,
have
yeah,
a page, but I don't.
But I did hear about it like yesterday, and apparently I thought I was the only one
Nope.
that didn't know anything about it.
Nope.
Well,
Glad to know.
without getting into particulars, it's an enforcement issue, which, one of the things that they asked me to do when I got here was do some more
I
enforcement.
appreciate that very
Yeah.
much.
I do too.
Yeah,
But,
I mean,
but it's a team effort because
Yeah,
Michelle's the one that's dogging this stuff down, and it's just a little bit more understanding of connections and then more importantly, backup.
Yeah, I kind of feel like we're back on track right now as a town, getting
We're
getting
trying.
things organized and
We're trying.
doing the right
So,
thing.
I'll be happy to take any other questions you have about anything else, but that's all I had for tonight.
Okay, I don't know of anything else. Anybody else got any questions?
Mm-hmm.
Then I guess we adjourn. Thank you. A motion.
I move we adjourn?
A second.
Okay, all in favor? Katie?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
Louis? Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That was fascinating.